हाँ तू बन जा तू मेरी, बन जा तू मेरी इश्क दी चाशनी, हो मिठी मिठी चाशनी। साथ छोड़ूंगा ना तेरे पीछे आऊंगा, छीन लूंगा या खुदा से मांग लाऊंगा, तेरे नाम तकदीरा लिखवाऊंगा, मैं तेरा बन जाऊंगा, मैं तेरा बन जाऊंगा।
जब कोई बात कर जाए, जब कोई मुश्किल बन जाए, साथ मेरा ओ हमनवा, ना कोई है ना कोई था जिंदगी में तुम्हारे सिवा, तुम देना साथ मेरा ओ हमनवा, ओ हमनवा।
जिंदगी पल की इंतजार कब तक हम करेंगे भला, तुम्हें प्यार कब तक ना करेंगे भला। जिंदगी दो पल
हर किसी को नहीं मिलता यहाँ प्यार, जिंदगी में खुश नसीब है वो जिनको है मेरी ये बहार, जिंदगी में हर किसी को नहीं मिलता यहाँ प्यार, जिंदगी में।
मैं तेनू समझावा की ना तेरे बाजों लगदा जी, तू की जाने प्यार मेरा, मैं करूँ इंतजार तेरा, तू दिल तो यूं जान मेरी, जान मेरी। मैं तेनू समझावा की ना तेरे बाजों लगदा जी।
दिल मेरा चुराया क्यों, जब ये दिल तोड़ना ही था, हमसे दिल लगाया क्यों, जब ये मोड़ना ही था। Why did you break my heart? Why did we fall in love? Why did you go away, away, away?
ओ सागी सागी रे सागी सागी, आपस हार न जाए कोई ख्वाहिश बाकी, ओ सागी सागी रे सागी सागी, आपस हार न जाए कोई ख्वाहिश बाकी। जन्म 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 साथ चलना यूं, कसम तुम्हें कसम आगे एक जान है भले, दो बदन जुदा, मेरी होकर हमेशा ही रहना कभी
जी नहीं सकते तुम्हारे बिना, हमें तुमसे प्यार।
तुझे संग बैर लगाया ऐसा, रावण में फिर अपने जैसा, ओ रावण में फिर अपने जैसा।
क्या हुआ तेरा वादा, वो कसम, वो इरादा, भूलेगा दिल जिस दिन तुम्हें, वो दिन जिंदगी का आखिरी दिन होगा। क्या हुआ तेरा वादा।
मैंने जीना जीना कैसे जीना, हाँ सीखा मैंने जीना मेरे हमदम, ना सीखा कभी जीना जीना कैसे जीना, ना सीखा जीना तेरे बिना।
तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, हैरान वो हैरान मैं, तेरे मासूम सवालों से परेशान मैं, हूँ परेशान हूँ मैं।
जो तेरी खातिर तड़पे पहले से ही, क्या उसे तड़पाना ओ जालिमा, ओ जालिमा। जो तेरे इश्क में बहका पहले से ही, क्या उसे बहकाना ओ जालिमा, ओ जालिमा।
जिए तो जिए कैसे बिन आपके, जिए तो जिए कैसे बिन आपके।
जीने देना जीने देना जिंदगी तू जीने देना, जीने देना जीने देना जिंदगी तू जीने देना।
हुजूर तुमको सितारों में ले चलूं, दिल डूब जाए ऐसी बहारों में ले चलूं। हाँ हुजूर
मेरे दिल में जगह खुदा के खाली थी, देखा वहाँ पे आज तेरा चेहरा है। मैं भटकता हुआ बस एक बादल हूँ, जो तेरे आसमां पे आके ठहरा
शाम मस्तानी मदहोश किए जाए, मुझे डोर कोई खींचे तेरी ओर जाए।
ओ सोनिए, तेरा मेरा साथ यूं ही रहना, ओ सोनिए हर जिंद मेरी बान रहना।
मेरे महबूब कयामत होगी, आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी। मेरे महबूब
ख्वाजा मेरे ख्वाजा, से किसी को प्यार हो जाए, जाने कहाँ कब किसी को किसी से प्यार हो जाए। ऊंची ऊंची दीवारों से इस दुनिया की रस्में, ना कुछ तेरे बस में चूरी, ना कुछ मेरे बस में। दिल क्या करे जब किसी से किसी को प्यार हो जाए, जाने कहाँ कब किसी को किसी से प्यार हो जाए।
बाहर बन के आओ कभी तुम्हारी दुनिया में, गुजर न जाए ये दिन कहीं किसी तमन्ना में। बाहर बन के आओ कभी तुम्हारी दुनिया में, गुजर न जाए ये दिन कहीं किसी तमन्ना में। तुम मेरे हो, हम मेरे हो, आज तो आवाज़ करके जाना शुरानिया।
जो तेरी देखी शराबी ये दिल हो गया, संभालो मुझको ओ मेरे यारों, संभलना मुश्किल हो गया। गुलाबी आंखें जो तेरी देखी शराबी ये दिल हो गया।
गले लगा लो ना, लगी बुझा दो ना, ओ सजना। मैंने लगाई है तुझको, देखो ना कहाँ कहाँ। सीने में कैसी हलचल मची है, ओ सजना। पाप देखो सीने में कैसी हलचल मची है, ओ सजना।
वादा करो नहीं छोड़ोगे तुम मेरा साथ, जहाँ तुम हो वहाँ मैं भी हूँ।
वो नहीं देखो जरा पीछे रखो हाथ, जहाँ तुम हो जहाँ मैं भी हूँ। हाँ, सोचा है तुमने कि चलते ही चलाए, तारों के आगे नई दुनिया बसाए।
सोचा है ये कि तुम्हें रास्ता भुलाए, सुनी जगह पे कहीं छेड़े डराए।
हरे ना ना, हरे ना ना, ना करना। नहीं 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 नहीं।
कह दूं तुम्हें क्या चुप रहूं, दिल में मेरे आज क्या है, जो बोलो करूँ तुमको मानो, चलो ये भी वादा है। दो लफ्जों की है दिल की कहानी, या है मोहब्बत या है जवानी। दो लफ्जों की है दिल की कहानी, या है मोहब्बत या है जवानी। ला 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 लग जा गले के फिर ये हंसी रात हो, शायद फिर से जन्म मुलाकात हो न हो। लग जा गले करके जले मन तेरा भी किसके मिलन को अनामिका तू भीतर से मेरी भीगी भीगी सी
नहीं मैनू छड्डियो ना कि तेरे बिना दिल नहीं लगना ओ जिथे भी तू चलेना वे नहीं मैं तेरे पीछे पीछे चलेना
एक अजनबी हसीना से यूं मुलाकात हो गई फिर क्या हुआ ये ना पूछो कुछ ऐसी बात हो गई
मिले हो तुम हमको बड़े नसीबों से चुराया है मैंने किस्मत की लकीरों से मिले हो तुम हमको बड़े नसीबों से चुराया है मैंने किस्मत की लकीरों
पत्थर के सनम तुझे हमने मोहब्बत का खुदा जाना बड़ी भूल हुई अरे हमने ये क्या समझा ये क्या जाना पत्थर के सनम
तेरी मिट्टी में मिल जा मैं खिल जावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू तेरी नदियों में बह जावा तेरे खेतों में लहरावा इतनी सी है दिल की आरज़ू
आने से उसके आए बाहर जाने से उसके जाए बाहर बड़ी मस्तानी है मेरी महबूबा मेरी जिंदगानी है मेरी महबूबा
ये फितूर मेरा लाया मुझको है तेरी गली ये फितूर मेरा रहमत तेरी पर दिखाता
लिखे जो खत तुझे वो तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के नजारे बन गए सवेरा जब हुआ तो फूल बन गए जो रात आई तो सितारे बन गए लिखे जो खत तुझे
शाम और सुबह तू मेरा तेरे बिना क्या मेरा दो जिस्म जा एक है ना होना कभी तू जुदा तेरी मेरी कहानी है बारिशों का पानी बन के जो इश्क बरसे तेरी मेरी कहानी
गुलाबी आंखें जो तेरी देखी शराबी ये दिल हो गया संभालो मुझको ओ मेरे यारों संभलना मुश्किल हो गया
ये मौसम की बारिश ये बारिश का पानी ये पानी की बूंदे तुझे ही तो ढूंढे ये मिलने की ख्वाहिश ये ख्वाहिश तू जानी हो पूरी तुझी से मेरी ये कहानी
मेरे सपनों की रानी कब आएगी तू आई रुत मस्तानी कब आएगी तू बीती जाए जिंदगानी कब आएगी तू चलिया तू चलिया
मैं तेरा मैं तेरा मैं तेरा मैं तेरा मैं तेरा मैं तेरा मैं तेरा
मुसाफिर मैं भटका तू मेरा बसेरा मैं तेरा
मैं तेरा
तुझको चमकता मैं जंगल घनेरा मैं तेरा ओ पिया मैं तेरा 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 ओ जब हम मिले, हाथों में हाथ जब हम चले, हो गया ये दिल दीवाना। होता है प्यार क्या हमने जाना। तेरी सूरत ना हो जिसमें वो शीशा तोड़ देंगे हम। तेरी सूरत ना हो जिसमें वो शीशा तोड़ देंगे हम। अगर तुम मिल जाओ जमाना छोड़ देंगे हम। तुम्हें पाकर जमाने भर से रिश्ता तोड़ देंगे हम। अगर तुम मिल जाओ जमाना छोड़ देंगे हम। कहता है पल पल तुमसे होगी दिल ये दीवाना। कहता है पल पल तुमसे होगी दिल ये दीवाना। एक पल भी जाने जाना मुझसे दूर नहीं जाना। प्यार किया तो निभाना, प्यार किया तो निभाना। बिन तेरे कोई आस भी न रही, इतना तरसे के प्यास भी न रही। बिन तेरे कोई आस भी न रही, इतना तरसे के प्यास भी न रही। लड़खड़ाए कदम चले आए हैं, तू ना आया तो हम चले आए। तेरे दर पर सनम चले आए हैं, तू ना आया तो हम चले आए। तुझे देखा तो ये जाना सनम, प्यार होता है दीवाना सनम। अब यहाँ से कहाँ जाए हम, तेरी बाहों में मर जाए हम। तन्हा तन्हा यहाँ पे जीना ये कोई बात है, कोई साथ नहीं तेरा यहाँ तो ये कोई बात है। किसी को प्यार दे दे, किसी का प्यार ले ले, इस सारे जमाने में यही प्यारी बात है। दिल दे दिया है जहाँ तुम्हें भी देंगे, दगा नहीं करेंगे सनम। दिल दे दिया है जहाँ तुम्हें देंगे, दगा नहीं करेंगे सनम। रब दी कसम यारा, रब दी कसम, रब दी कसम यारा, रब दी कसम। हमको हमें से चुरा लो, दिल में कहीं तुम छुपा लो। हम अकेले खो न जाए, दूर तुमसे खो न जाए। पास आओ गले से लगा।
best thing to happen to cookies and cream. Since, well,
see something better as well. The experienced teams really just show up what they are packing, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, we are going to be coming back very, very soon. Don't go anywhere. Refresh yourselves. Come back after a very short break. See.
And salty, considering today is the day 4, and recently we've noticed as the days are passing by, it feels like the teams are getting stronger and stronger. What are your expectations from day 4?
Dude, I mean, I've got to be honest with you. The teams that are lined up for today, it's going to be an absolute blast. There's going to be fireworks all across the 3 maps, and I just can't wait for the games to begin, because every single day we've just seen 1 or 2 big teams, and they've really made a mark. They've really dominated the table in ways we never really imagined they would. But of teams who are like really good at the top level of BGMI. So I'm just hoping for the best and hoping that the underdog teams also can show their true potential tonight.
Hopefully, they are going to be able to show the true potential tonight. Definitely, there have been a lot of those underdog teams that are actually already showing the true potential. But today, you know what? We saw on the waiting screens as well what teams are going to be playing on what groups today. Group 7 and Group 8 are going to be duking it out against each other. Of course, top 8, as usual, will be qualifying in for the second week. So, Salty, in Group 7, we already know there are so many known teams, man. And I just cannot wait for the games to start. But I feel like before today's day start, we also need to touch up on what exactly happened yesterday as well.
Yep, 100%. I feel like yesterday was a great day. In fact, right, the way Medal Esports played, the way they showed domination, the way Team Enigma played, the way Team INS played, these teams, right, they were domination incarnate, right? They were the ones who were destroying the lobbies, and really the underdog teams did not have an opportunity. And probably that's because of the fact that they did a lot of things right. They had the rotations right. They knew when to take those fights in spite of the circles being absurd. Yesterday we saw some crazy circles, but ladies and gentlemen, the circles are going to be there always. But this time around in BGIS, we have a grand prize pool of a mammoth 2 CR rupees, Necro.
Exactly, a lot of money on the line, ladies and gentlemen, from which the first spot's going to be getting 75 lakhs in their hands, and then the second place getting 37 lakh 50,000, and of course it's going to keep on descending downwards until, if you're going to be finding yourself being the MVP of the BGIS, then you will be getting 4 lakh all to yourself, and of course those special prizes you can see all the way bottom down below. We know the journey is going to be massive, and that's why the prize pool here as well is quite massive. But getting back to the conversation that we're having about yesterday, dude, I feel like I'm really glad the fact that you brought up the point about Medal Esports, and I definitely feel like so far Medal Esports has one of the strongest showings right next to Gladiator Esports.
Exactly right, Gladiator Esports. You reminded me of a team who did not really have a chicken dinner to their name, but the way they dominated the lobby and the way they instilled fear amongst the players that they are the ones, they are the alphas out there. It's because of the fact that they had 43 finish points. 43 finish points. Why? Because 43 finishes, and every finish amounts to 1 point, ladies and gentlemen. The points distribution is up on your screens right now. First position gives you 15 points. Second position gives you 12 placement points. Third position gives you 10 placement points. Now the points distribution again, Necro, has been sort of changed. We had a different system initially, and this is the old system which came back. And I want to know your thoughts on how do you think this is going to pan out? Is it going to like motivate a lot of teams to go for those passive plays to try and get those 50?
separates, because once again, when you're going to be having the experience, you're not going to be cracking under the pressure. You are going to be pretty much there with a calm mindset. But when you are going to be one of those new teams that are just stepping inside the field, you're always going to crack under the pressure. At least inside the first games, you're going to be feeling those jitters.
Exactly right, and nerves do play a part. I mean, look at this matchup right here, right? You've got Team Godlike, Team Tamilas, Team True Rippers. These are experienced teams. These are teams who have played in the Tier 1 lobbies for ages, and they know how to handle that amount of pressure. They know how to handle that amount of chaos that happens in the final circle. But of course, there are a lot of other new teams. For example, one team which really got my eye, Team CR7, for a matter of fact. I'm a very ardent fan of CR7, and I hope that this team actually does well, live up to his standards, live up to his legend. So a lot of these underdog teams, they have a lot to prove here, and I feel like they've got that amount of potential in them. It's just that they have to control the nerves, just like you mentioned.
Exactly. Controlling the nerves takes you a far way. And once again, we have seen a lot of those teams that is actually not able to control those nerves. And as I said, the best or the biggest thing that really separates these teams from a top tier team and also like an underdog team is that experience. Straight up. These teams that are being here doing the same thing over and over again, that have faced a similar type of circumstances a lot of the times in the past. On the other hand, the teams that are going to be here for the first time, it's going to be their first time ever facing all of this type of stuff. So imagine the amount of pressure all these new players are going to be having. And now considering we know inside Group 7, there's so many known names. We've got Team Godlike. We've also got Team Tamilas. These two names should be good enough to shake the entire lobby.
Exactly. And speaking of Team Godlike, Necro, I feel like there's going to be a question. What is going to gentlemen, but of course, who is going to win this match?
It's really tough to say, man, but considering there are going to be some known names, I would like to go with them. And you know what? My prediction's going to be Godlike. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The plane's going to hit the skies, and the plane flight path is right in front of us as well. Soon enough, the map's going to pop up, and we've already got S-Power from Godlike on our screens. I really would like to see what this guy is capable of. And as we do take a look at the plane flight path, it's going to start all the way from shooting range to these players. Shouldn't be that tough to go towards your designated drop spots, but definitely going towards Primorx is going to be a little bit out of hand.
Exactly right. The flight path, of course, going throughout the center of the map itself, dividing it into two halves, not exactly, but just like you mentioned, certain regions will be out of bounds, but majority of the map is still under control, whereas Team Godlike, a lot of them have actually ejected themselves from the plane itself, going towards George Hospital. It's just about finding out how many teams do actually end up landing in George Pole and probably taking that early fight as well.
Taking those early fights, of course. Now, there are always two ways to look at it, right, Salty? Considering early fights can also give you a lot of advantage in the points if you're able to come out on top flawlessly. But if you're going to lose out on a couple of players, that means your team's going to be handicapped right off the bat, and that's not a start at least a known team would want to have. And we already do see Godlike. They took an exit right off the bat from the plane, and considering, luckily enough for them, the plane flight path wasn't really that far away from their designated drop spot. But it seems like we're also going to be seeing a little bit of drop collision between Godlike and maybe another team that's right next to him.
Exactly, and I believe it's going to be Team X7. But Godlike, so far, I can see Shadow OG just taking that vehicle and moving out from here. They don't really want to engage because I believe they were also aiming for containers. That landing spot was also containers, but then they got that initial vehicle. They saw that there is a team already who had dropped in and had the weaponry to kind of take that fight to their advantage. So, the rest of the team moving towards City. Meanwhile, Shadow just acquiring that vehicle and will try and regroup with his teammates later on. And so far, I mean, you've got S-Power, you've got Shadow, you've got Z-God, and you've got Jonathan. So it's a great lineup. It also kind of depends on who has roles designated. I mean, S-Power being very aggressive, he's generally the flanker for the team, and Jonathan always, he's probably the greatest of all time, so might just be in the back lines trying to provide cover fire to every single one of those players and would want to finish the fight instead of starting it. So you've got that young blood and you've got that experience as well for this team, and I feel like Team Godlike, they're well set for not just this phase of the tournament, but also for the later phases as well, especially with S-Power's addition.
Exactly, and it seems like Neo's actually going to be sitting it out this game. So I really would like to see how S Power is going to be performing because he's got some massive shoes to fill, right? It's definitely not going to be that easy, but considering you said it, this man is a young lad and he definitely packs a big punch, a massive punch. So I'd like to see what S Power is capable of. We've also got Team Tamilas on our screens. Two big titans are right next to each other. One is in the northern Georgia pool, the other one's in the southern Georgia pool towards the containers. Team Tamilas, speaking about this team, another known name over here. We know this team. We know what they're capable of as well. Maxi OP, I've heard this guy's name a lot of those times as well. And to be honest, even expectations from this team is going to be a lot higher.
Certainly right, Team Tamilas. This is such a team which comes in with a lot of fan following. This is a team that always has a lot of expectations on their shoulders, always has a lot of fans expecting big performances, especially not just in such phases, but also in the later stages of the tournament. So we'll have to find out how does this team perform. And generally, Team Tamilas, they go for that aggressive style of play, right? They go for those finishes, they go for those aggressive pushes. So it's interesting to find out if those teams do spot godlike in the vicinity, or if those teams do end up rotating at the same time when the first circle shifts. I feel like there is going to be some sort of skirmish early on, and that initial engagement is something which we need to watch out for, because we've seen a lot of those big names getting eliminated early on in the maps of Erangel, and so far there has been no collision whatsoever, and this silence, Necro, is sort of eerie to me.
Silence, yeah, not really much going on inside the game, to be honest. And as I said, as the days are passing by, it feels like the teams are getting more familiar to each other. Even though the teams are different in every single group, it still feels like somehow they're well coordinated. They know exactly where to do. We're not too dropping so far. We've got CR7 on our screens. There was a little engagement, but nothing found just yet. Goes to Esports, is going to be able to take an exit quickly enough without harm's way. Oh, there's a little collision with the vehicle. There's a high chance Curran might just go down. The man in the back is way too low.
Yeah, certainly Team CR7 soul. Or a matter of fact, he has that little bit of vision but does not engage so far. I mean, again, right, we've talked about it multiple times. I feel like more than taking those engagements and putting yourself at risk, I feel like it's a more your utility, right? You've got to get those ammunitions and really figure your back. Which is going to game. But so far, I feel all of the teams, they've really done well for themselves. I feel there's no collisions whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And we've also seen a lot of those teams actually not even able to make it out of the first zone. That is what something we have seen sort of like a bit of problem between these new teams, because as soon as the first ever zone is done, there's either a chance that these teams are going to get it stuck inside a complete stalemate, or there's a chance they're just not going to have mets at all. They will get stuck inside the wall of death and they will just completely die to that. So hopefully we're not upsets like that, because those are one of those things that really do make you feel bad team.
Team True Rippers, Fury, Beast, Viru, as well as Dope, I feel, yeah. Dope, Beast, Fury, and Viru. It's also going to be how this team actually pans out. Of course, with the roster shuffles happening every single week in the community at this point, Team True Rippers, I really want to see how do they pan out, because again, it's a big name in the esports community. It's a big org when you consider the scale of things and the scale of which they operate. So the BGMI team, of course, will also have certain expectations to be met, but it's not just the big names, Necro. We always talk about the underdogs, and this, in fact, the whole event is about underdogs. And Forty Demon Esports, just one of those teams, and I love the way they themselves. FYD player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4. Not a lot of brain required in naming these players, right?
I mean, sometimes, man, you remember another team called Four Noobs, and all the players had bots.
Yeah, bot 1, bot 2.
Bot 2. Yeah, so they are quite interesting names sometimes inside these type of games, and especially this is what's in these dark horses, right? They tend to name whatever they like, and I feel like that is something that really adds on a little bit of entertaining factor to the games as well. But so far, we've got Godlike on our screens, and they've also managed to find themselves in the blue zone. Hopefully they're going to be quick enough to get out of this spot, because this will be chipping out a bit of damage. And as I said, this is the exact spot. Georgia Pool is the exact spot usually where we see teams getting stuck with no meds. But luckily enough for Godlike, they've got a lot of meds onto themselves.
Certainly in Godlike, they know how to handle situations like these, right? They know how to get those late rotations to work for themselves. The circle, of course, towards the northern eastern part of the map itself still has Stauber and Kameshki inside the circle, which is a little awkward, but then also considering that Yasnaya is the death center, you know that the circle might just end up somewhere around there. Northern part of the island is completely empty. So for Godlike, I feel like the rotation path is going to be fairly simple, but then they've got to be wary about another team. I am not sure which team it is, but they are taking shots, Necro, and they have to take a different route at this point.
Well, I mean, at least he's able to get out of that tricky spot, huh? Jonathan's going to be alive for now, and this is what exactly happens when you go for a late game rotation. I'm never a huge fan of these rotations at all. I am always so anxious, and now look at the rotation Team Godlike is opting out to do. They really do want to make sure the rotation is going to be as safe as possible. They do not want to engage in any of the fights. And that's why now they've rerouted their entire decision. They've made a complete new decision to rotate out of this Georgia Pool all the way from up north. Yeah, there is going to be less risk, but from the back line soon enough, Team Tamila's.
The circle again shifted towards the western side. We get to see a hard shift right from Necro. This is not usual. Generally, hard shifts are, we get to see hard shifts from the third circle onwards, but a hard shift in the second circle, which kind of complicates things for teams who dropped it on the western side. Elsewhere, Team SK got a player knocked out, and it's Team Mayavi. Blacks is the one who's actually on the run. Nade's being cooked in, and this valley might just turn into a death valley at this point if this nade connects, Johnny.
Oh, that was a really close nade. Location's going to be barely alive on a sliver of HP, and look at the amount of smokes that are being used. But another nade's going to seal the deal, and Black seems like he's going to unload his entire inventory of the utilities right inside that little barrel. So many nades just barraging in, raining in. It's tough to dodge one of them. Another plate gets ran over, and SK, they get eliminated by Team Mayavi in such a quick fashion.
You know what? Mayavi just always stands for aggressive play. Mayavi always stands for, letting his players know that, all right, aggression is the best form of defense. You want to survive, you want to qualify, get those finish points up and running. And I sort of agree with his approach when he says that finish points are the way to go, because not only it sets you up, yes, there's a potential risk of you taking the damage as well, but if executed those team fights correctly, I feel like this can be such a game changer. And this team so far, they've prepared well. They are warmed up right now already. Elsewhere, there's a rotation. Two teams in very close proximity. It's Taiko RTR as well as another team. And I feel like the player who was solo just decided to disengage. He just stopped his engines, went for the reverse, but elsewhere, Blacks again. Again, the replay got the first knock. The nades came in. He knew that they were vulnerable, and the rest of the team also joined in the party. This is use guns that well. It's just buggies, Necro.
I mean, once again, this is a little bit of disadvantage of finding yourself in these situations where you're going to have a dip for yourself. Basically, when you're going to position yourself in a dip, it gets so easy to nade you out. All you need to do is toss in a nade and you automatically, because the physics, the nade's always going to be going all the way down to the center point inside a dip, and you will be taking some sort of a damage. So, nicely done when it comes to capitalization by Team Mayavi. And now we've also got Tycho on our screens, RTR. And every single player's on a move. Once again, the still an early game phase. You want to make sure you're getting those quick and good spots in your hands. Circle is big enough to contain every circle. And it also seems like Prison might just be in the capitalization, but no. There's a chance we might see a circle in the rice fields of Yasnaya Polyana.
Yeah, probably, possibly, but at least for now though, it might just also be an urban warfare in Yasnaya itself, because all of these teams part of the circle, they will find shelter in those compounds in that massive city, and just like you like to call it, it might just be an urban warfare, because not a lot of those teams will be able to exit from Yasnaya Polyana. They will be able to take those compounds, but a lot of fights would brew up, and which makes things even more difficult. So as the circle shifts south towards the rice field, just like you mentioned, if it does though, I feel like only few of those teams will actually be able to make their way in. But look at this, Godlike already starting to make a move and approaching the Yasnaya houses. Instead, they are getting those little shacks in the rice fields already, which is a good approach. I like this, because not a lot of teams would actually acquire these compounds right from the get-go itself.
I mean, look at that. It's a 3-1 split once again, where Shadow's going to be the only man inside this, or at least near this little house on himself. And not really one of the best covers Shadow can ask. The only reason Shadow's left over here is to that if the circle ends up shifting right next to Shadow, or at least on top of him, it's going to be an insurance policy for them. They can back out on Shadow anytime they want, but do or die up against another team in the front. This team's been inside this compound for such a long, and Palu on the verge of taking down another one as well. Aim after the other. Every single player starting to fall apart, and do or die. They're executing this fight so nicely.
It's a 1v3 situation. Polar XD, even he has been taking down. Only one player survives, and that's going to be Naughty, and he wants to flee the situation. My man is driving as quick as possible, just surviving for his team, playing for those placement points. But do or die, the way they executed that team battle was fantastic. It was so nicely done, but traffic, ladies and gentlemen, Erangel is pretty busy at the moment as vehicles just pass by each other by very close margin. But for Nodi again, he lives, he survives the fight another day, but so far Godlike, they are in position. Even Team Tamilas, for a matter of fact, their rotation has been pretty similar, haven't it?
It sort of has been. I mean, considering one team is already out of the game, you can say a little bit of burden is lifted off the game, right? So you can say the space that could have been acquired by SK is not going to be acquired anymore, because we're seeing a lot of body hit the floor now. You can see the elimination feed too. Now it's starting to pop up as the game keeps on, circle keeps on shrinking down as well. And soon enough, this circle too will close up. The wall of death now is going to start to take up a little bit more damage, and Team Tamilars are still outside the zone. Still trying to take some shots against the opponents that are in the front lines. Of course, it won't be too risky, and as I said, now the circle's going to start to chip a lot of damage. Team Tamilars cannot afford to be out here, and Team Godlike is starting to punish them.
This is exactly the situation that they wanted. Seagod, of course, found one of the players. I believe it's going to be TT Maxi, I'm not really sure. Manti has been taken down, so another casualty for Team Godlike. Zegod, of course, might just want to push in, but so far, both of those teams just playing the edge of the circle gameplay just complicates things from Team TT, because they were in the middle of 2 or 3 teams right in front. There's Team LG as well. How do they get out of this situation?
Then the players will need to figure out before now. Look at Faulty Demon Esports. Even this team has got their sightlines on every single piece of action that's currently going on. Team Tamilas did not expect to find themselves in such a tricky spot, and now they're in quite a dicey situation as well. Faulty Demons also taking a couple of shots from the back lines as Godlike as well. For Team Tamilas to get out of this position, it's next to impossible. And now once again, the blue zone's going to start to move in.
It certainly will, right? Team LG also on the run, and all of these teams playing the edge of the circle gameplay, coming in very, very late inside this whole picture. It's going to be very difficult, especially for teams like Team X7 as well. Elsewhere is Team AEB's last surviving player. He's still managing to find finish points to work with. At least gets 1 point secured for his team. So far, once again, Jonathan, this man, just every single time. And Jonathan, that was quick. That was excessively quick.
That indeed was. He found himself in such a tricky spot, but his teammate was there to provide him cover. I think so it was Shadow, who tried to block all those bullets with his Vico, and I like that quick thinking from Team Godlike. So far, haven't really got one of the best positions they can ask for, but definitely something they can temporarily work with. Shadow barely gets away with a sliver of HP, considering he wasn't even boosted up. That could have been a confirmed knockout. What? One single bullet should have sealed the deal on the Shadow. Again, in the nick of time, this man has got God today.
I love what Team Godlike is doing, right? They're moving from cover to cover in tandem with their teammates, right? Every single player has a vehicle for themselves. Even if it's an open circle, they know how to turn it into a permanent cover. But so far, of course, the blue zone shrinking. Have a look at YD in the picture as well, who are trying for a rather northern rotation. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Take a straight embarkment onto inside the circle itself, right at the edge, just playing across that ridge. In front, they've got Team IND, of course, not the real one, an underdog Team IND who might just be able to planning to spoil their party.
If they're planning on a position they found themselves, their backs are completely exposed, and IND definitely will try to take him down if they do get a clear line of sight onto that. But X7 Volts now, he's on a spree, that's for sure. Man's got 2 elimination points already with the DBS. He's confirmed he racked it up. This is what you're gonna get when you go against such a demonic gun. One more player's knocked out. It should not be tough to get that racked up as well, but soon enough to make the decision to find themselves in a better spot inside the circle. So many smoke grenades used. Team Godlike wants to find a better spot inside the smoke, wants to find a better spot in the map, but the circle shifted away from them, so the quick adjustment needs to be there.
Godlike, they've been chasing the circle for a very, very long time right now. Ever since they landed, the circle has been away from them, and their rotations have been made so difficult. But right in front of them, there is Team True Rippers, and that might be a collision which needs to happen right here, right now, because both these two teams will be aiming for that southern part of the circle, rather the northern part of the circle, in fact. And Team True Rippers, the way they are stationed right now, they have that compound to work with as well. They can gatekeep Team Godlike, and a fight is inevitable. Of course, S-Power just spamming through the smoke, aiming to find someone, but no shots connected so far. Godl once again got temporary compound to work with, but once again will get inside their vehicles and get on the move. I love what they're doing so far. I love how they maneuvered from Georgiapur. They are on the hunt, and if Black spots him out, of course, one nade being lobbed in the right trajectory might just destroy the whole Team CR7.
Yeah, I highly doubt that's going to be the case. And it's one shot, actually, not Blacks. He got the knockout onto Soul and CR7. Now they're down to a 3-man squad. And here we go. The third party arrives. Team Mayavi. They're quite desperate to get these elimination points in their hand. Cypher ejects him, but unfortunately drops himself dead. Not a good news for Team Mayavi. They as well have been subtracted down to a 3-man squad. But now they realize it's a death triangle. So Team Mayavi decided to check out of the vehicles a little bit in the back. They're once again a Team India as well. They are finding themselves in such a bad spot. IND Fury in the clotheslines and tossed in. We are doing such a fantastic job. So many fights happening at the same time. So many eliminations happening at the same time.
And this is bad. Team Godlike, they also want to chip in. Power comes in with his nades, gets one for himself, confirms those fallen dead bodies right there. Team Mayavi, what they did was extremely brilliant, right? They wanted to go in aggressive, but of course with Team IND coming into the picture as a third party, Team Mayavi retracted pretty quickly. The decision making was perfect, and Team Godlike, they know that their position is secure, their backs are secure, there is nobody coming in to backstab them. Of course, there is some sort of a presence, right? Team True Rippers coming in from the backlines, Fury knocked out, but so far IND also has one player surviving. I believe it's Team Mayavi's game at this point, Necro, because they're the ones with 3 men and pretty good position for themselves as well.
Also, you cannot forget the amount of elimination points this team has. Look at that, 5 finishes. Team Mayavi, definitely a team that's currently on fire. Even X7, now they want a little bit of piece of True Rippers. True Rippers as well, they're starting to get ripped apart, and yeah, now they're down to a 2-man squad. They had such a solid position inside the circle previously, but as soon as the circle shifted away, True Rippers, they started crumbling down, cracking under the pressure. Team Mayavi as well, credit where credit's due. This team is doing such a phenomenal job in rotating out. They're not shying away and taking those fights. Team Godlike as well, as they lost out on Shadow. Shadow usually was one of those players that was trying to scout things out. He was one of those players that was trying to be in the front lines to get a better spot for his team, the sacrificial lamb, but now Godlike, they've lost that. They need to complete the mission with only a 3-man squad.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lush green fields of Erangel turning into a warfare right now as explosions tumble every single way. Legend gets knocked out and it's just smokes for Team Mayavi to play across blacks, just trying to find the sidelines. Of course, Team Tycho RTR coming in from the backlines will spot, I believe it's Pride if I'm not mistaken. A lot of shots being taken, of course, but Emerald Sam also not having any sort of confidence, and Team Godlike just racking up the finishes for themselves. 2 more finishes to work with, but Seagod has been knocked out and they need those legs. They really desperately need those legs to win this game. Black's the only one who's still surviving for Team Mayavi. Their hopes of a chicken dinner just relies on one man with the golden arm, but Jonathan still trying to establish himself as the GOAT, just trying to spot every single player out. It's such a dicey situation for every single one of these teams, Necro.
Black still just shrouding himself inside the smoke. Jonathan finally going for the resurrection onto the fallen comrade. Look at X7 as well. Winter's gonna be a snake himself. If you speak about Black, though, this man's been a 1-man army since a long time from Team Mayavi, so you can never underestimate a player like him. As power Jonathan, these 2 players are going to be the deadly firepower of Cardo, and then you've also got Z-God to back all of them up. Good spray in the front lines. X7, considering they've got the manpower, they can also decide to send in a sacrificial lamb for some success, for some information if they do want to, but I'm loving the split that X7's showing so far. They've also got a decent amount of map control.
Exactly, Necro, that is exactly what I was talking about, but Evil, I think, has been spotted as Aspire lobbed in that nade towards its direction. Of course, that nade is going to connect or not, it's going to be the question, but Evil has 5 finishes to his name already. His fingers are warmed up, his hands are warmed up, and this man knows how to get his enemies down. Of course, Aspire is wary of that situation. He knows exactly the position where Evil is, but Jonathan taking a little bit of 7 as well as from Blacks in tandem. Explosions happen left and right as Gottel still trying to establish the dominance, but the split that Team X7 has, it's working in their favor. At least they are surviving with more men. They are being out in the open. They don't really have a lot of cover to work with, especially the circle shifting for Team X7. They need to abandon their piece of cover and they need to move forward. But it's not going to be easy, especially with Gottel having sightlines inside the entire circle, Netro.
You also forgot to mention that the circle shifted right on top of Godlike, so they've got all the advantage in the world. And considering one of the players also sort of spread out, which is his power, he can give so much information. Look at Z-God and Jonathan. These 2 guys are going to be the guardian angels of the circle's edge lines. Not going to let it cross in, but definitely spotting out, say, snakes sometimes. It's going to get a little tough unless you've got binoculars in your hands. For Godlike to do so, they need to have some eagle eyes, and that's what they do. A good spread from Jonathan, but instantly we see that knockout trade coming in. X7, a good Molotov.
Oh no.
People will get knocked out as well. Less power, perfectly done. The utility utilization from Godlike's on the point. Jonathan is retrievable, he's revivable, but Z-God's going for all the confirmations.
Exactly, and now there's only two guys left. Team Godlike, they almost had the chicken dinner in their bags. As his power spots another one. X7 has been eliminated, and it's just Team Mayavi Blacks versus Team Godl 1v3. Blacks against the world, against the best players of the country potentially, but the nade's being lobbed in, of course, a ban. I thought that was a nade. Oh my. My goodness, Team Godlike.
Yeah, still throwing around. Finally gets pushed on, and Godlike to seal the deal and take care of business. Nicely done. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Through this time, I went with Godlike, and once again, the cream. They get a nice chicken dinner in their hand right off the bat to kick things off in the group 5, ladies and gentlemen. And what a way, in a group 7, actually. What a way to kick things off for today's day, man. And I feel like this is one of the best. I forgot. As I said, whichever team control it as well, but I just feel like the only reason X7 really ended up losing was because the circle shifted right on top of the players of Godlike, and it's like the BGMI gods were supporting Godlike. They really wanted them to win, and as soon as the circle shifted on top, Godlike knew what exactly to do. All they needed to do was rely on their firepower, and a little bit of heroics off the individual player, and that's what they did. S-Power and Z-God, they played perfectly. They bounced off of each other nicely. They took those firepower nicely, and that's why they came out on top. But look at the plane flat path inside Miramar, Johnny. It's going to be completely tilted on the right side. That means teams, if they do want to go to the left side of the map, it's going to be a long extend.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say that this flight path looks like a massive prank from the gods of BGMI upon the players into this game. Because Miramar, again and again, it has been said that this map is massive, absolutely gigantic. And because of that, traversing the terrain will take you a lot of time. You necessarily don't want to waste that time in just getting from point A to point B. You want to spend that time getting that early loot in. Be prepared for any fight that is headed in your direction. And because of the way the flight path is skewed right now, we might see some drop locations and some desperate fight for some vehicles.
Speaking about those desperate fights, man, you are definitely right. Yeah, when a plane flat path is going to be completely tilted to one side, you're always going to be seeing those teams at least dropping down on some temporary drop spot, which are going to be those little solo compounds all around the map, or a team will be dropping down on those vehicles, trying to secure those vehicles as quick as possible, and then extend all the way towards their drop location. But another Southern Circle. Johnny, it seems like these recent days has been the days of Miramar Southern Circle, and I'm a huge fan of these.
I mean, it's you, me, and everyone else who has been enjoying the action of BGIS so far. And also, it's 3 in a row, 3 Miramars in a row. We have the zone heading towards Los Leones. Or in fact, the game starting from Los One is going to be filled with a lot of action. But for now, we have the players of IN gliding, looking for those vehicles. And I believe at this point, everyone has memorized those vehicle spawn points. And IN, a little bit quicker onto the ground, can actually find some weapons, because we did see one more team up in the air right behind them.
I mean, as long as they're going to get their foot early on onto the ground compared to the other teams, IND should be good to go, because they've got the guns early off. And look at Dalton running out in the open. He's got no clothes as well. Man, it does not have anything on him. So, yeah, it's going to get he's going to get inside the building, wrap up some armor onto himself, get some suitable amount of utilities and those guns, and should be good to go. Godel, as usual, they like to drop in Hacienda del Patron. That's where they're going to drop out. And look at what Shadow is doing all by himself. He's challenging a fight, and I'm not a huge fan of this, and this is what I like to call complacency and overconfidence, and that's why Shadow realized that and decided to reposition himself. I like the call of retreat from Shadow, not really overcommitting, because sometimes as a player, the instincts, or you can say the evil thoughts in your mind do take over, and you do not do what you're supposed to do.
But I think this decision was quite easy for Shadow to make, because he knows what kind of players he has behind him, Jonathan, S-Power, and Zegor. He does not necessarily has to be the frontliner or be the initial aggressor for his team. He has people better than him doing that for him. He just has to be the man calling the shots and being the brains of this lineup. Just guide the direction of all of that firepower, focus it on the opposition and take them down. And right now, the men that I was talking about have arrived to help their IGL. And I think this one is going to be a little too intense, since Team Godlike, while they are moving forward, are going to also have to hunt for information, since the players of SK have already repositioned. And Shadow won't really have all the the information. I mean, he might have positions about one or two individuals, but even they disappeared from his sights.
Johnny, I feel really bad for SK, man. This was one of those teams that got eliminated the first in the previous game, and now they're also getting chased down, hunt down by the gods themselves, Team Godlike. I'm a little scared for SK. Look at one of the players out in the open. He's on a climb. Man's doing a hike. Shadow spotted him, but was not able to land any shots. Look at location, the close quarters. He's got a Tommy gun in the hand, and now he's also making sure that he's not really going to be moving a lot, given his position away, but it's still not going to matter. The shotgun's going to shut him down. It's the DBS right to his face, and S-Power cleans him up.
What a brilliant move by Team Godlike, not necessarily taking any risk as Zegod went for the initial peek. He realized he wasn't going to be able to take Lokesh down, and he was just satisfied with the damage he dished out. Made the call to S-Power to chime in instantly, and S-Power ran up front with the DBS, realizing his teammate had given him the opening. The amount of trust and skill these guys have is absolutely incredible, but Team SK, they are not done yet. They still have 3 players left. Beast OP, he's waiting in a decent position, and if he can isolate those fights, he might be able to come out on top. But in another location on this beautiful map of Miramar, we have few more collisions happening.
My God, no
and
way.
well, Godlike are still on the hunt.
Yeah, they are. They know. Trio is right on top, and look at Shadow. He thought his own teammate was the enemy, so he started taking some blind shots, but this time one of the players falls down, but once again, it's a chance that the DBS might just reign supreme. Godlike 3 players out low, down low, S-Power, but he still managed to connect that crucial shot. This man, single-handedly, is dismantling the entire squad of SK, and I feel so bad for this team. This team was the first one to take an exit from the previous game as well, and now they're on the verge of falling down once again. Johnny, not an outing you want to have, especially when you're SK, and especially when you're going to be the underdogs. But when the odds are against you, and when you've got the gods just chasing you down, tough one.
I mean, it is definitely going to be a tough one for a tough pill for them to swallow, because as you mentioned, even the first game wasn't there, and unfortunate incidents one after the other. Even in this one on the map of Miramar, they have lost 2 players already, and Team Godlike, they are still not letting them go. Just let the lads breathe for a second. They're looking for the 3rd player to finish him off as well. But as we were talking about it a few moments ago, ladies and gentlemen, True Rippers against the players of AFB India, that is going to be another collision. While True Rippers gathers all the information in other direction, over here, Team Godlike, they're still looking for SK.
I mean, still a valiant effort though, right, Trio? He managed to almost take out 2 of the players right there. But I mean, that's what you call the fear of Godlike. Look at one of the players, that was Beast from SK. He does not even want to peek out of his window. He's so scared for his life. That's what you call the fear of the gods in the lobby. And especially this DBS as well. This gun is just an absolute blaster. It busts you open. Anyone that stands against him, 1 pump and you're done. Johnny, if you remember, I used to call this gun the 1 pump man.
I remember. Why did you stop?
Because it's been a while.
I mean, the name fits the weapon right now inside of the game. I mean, because we only see that 1 pump from anyone wielding that weapon, and the next thing that you see is each falling to their knees. It is incredible with the way players have sort of figured out how to use that weapon and also how to counter it. Because the one condition where DBS works wonders is close quarters. Close quarters combats is where it excels. But if you take that close quarter situation away from the person wielding that weapon, then you get a lot of options. But look at this, IND Esports, they were just waiting for Cypher from Team YB to step out into the open, and he just got baited by all 4 of these players. An easy takedown for IND Esports.
I mean, speak of that, and IND, at least they managed to get 1 elimination points in their hand this early off inside the game, so I'm going to be a little happy for this team. I'm more than satisfied with what Team IND have managed to achieve so far. And speaking about the previous game as well for IND, I just feel like the previous game in the final circle was way too chaotic. Circle out in the open, teams trying to make a desperate rotation inside the circle. So many vehicles, so many players, so many bodies just dropping dead. It was way too chaotic, and it was tough to keep track of what exactly was going down on the floor. But ladies and gentlemen, Team Maya on our screens, and one of the deadly teams inside the lobby right next to Godlike.
Let's see though how this game is going to progress. There are two teams following Team Godlike right now as they take an exit from San Martin heading towards that power grid. Well, from the middle of power grid and Graveyard heading towards Picado, but one of the interesting locations in this game right now is going to turn out to be that La Benedita corner where we have Team Mayavi and IND Esports colliding, because that location is quite close to the edge of this first initial zone. And if the teams do not, in fact, find a position of cover deep inside the circle right now, then they might be in trouble in the later stages of this match. Let's see. The decision is going to be Team Mayavi, especially having lost a player already. I'm going to have to think about how they want to play out the rest of the game with just 3 players remaining. Team Godlike on the other side have made it quite close to the edge of the zone already.
I mean, whenever I look at Godlike, it's like no one's going to be challenging this team soon enough, Johnny. It's like they have their own league. They have set a sort of a fear in every single team, every single competitor inside the lobby.
Yeah.
This is what you call being the alphas, being the Giga Chat, and asserting dominance on the lobby. But we saw the next circle shift as well as the map is in front of us, and the circle sort of shifted down south still, but tilted to the left side. So that means there's a high chance we're going to be seeing that circle out in the open once again. Usually that's what you get in Miramar. I don't know what I'm saying.
I mean, we're going to have a better understanding of what this Miramar is going to look like once we have the 4th and the 5th zones in front of us, because right now, I mean, there's still the Lost Leonis City for the teams on the eastern half of the map to work with. The teams on the western side are going to try and take control of that Chumacera area and the hills down south of Chumacera, because those are two viable positions to work with. You have the high ground advantage on the southern hills of Chumacera, and the Chumacera S City will provide you with a lot of cover to just plan out your rotations inside of the zone. Although we do see Team Tamilas, and I believe they are towards the Latriella Hills, another decent spot inside the zone for now. Can leave them isolated for a bit, but they have to be careful about not getting too complacent because of how isolated they are. Because on Miramar as well, at any given time, someone can start taking down with the help of those DMRs, with the help of those ARs, if they manage to find the 6x scope to prop it on upon their M4. So that is also another option that players have in this situation. So you have to be extremely careful and make sure you're gathering the information every given second.
That is true. Look at Ghost Rider. He's riding the monster. Does not really suit his name though, does it? Ghost riding a monster truck?
I mean, can't Ghost Rider just turn any vehicle he is in? I think that was his power, right?
Yeah, probably. Venom on our screens though, and as we've got the entire team as well being locked in the sights of do or die. Ashok, sights were locked. He knows exactly what the team's doing in the front. That's Ghost Rider. So they need to be a little cautious, a little safe. So for Ghosts, it's not going to be that easy for them to get out of that. Definitely for other teams that are still trying to make it inside the lobby. I'm talking about SK, I'm talking about One Shot. They are starting to sort of get their footing inside the circle just now. Look at the next circle ship right next to Los Leones. Still a decent bit of Los Leones is in the circle, but I'm really going to be looking out for Godlike's rotation over here. They're up north, sort of trying to close in a little bit to the centric part of the circle.
Yeah, I'm afraid they might be a little too overexposed at this point. They don't really have a lot of cover to work with apart from the hills that they've taken control over. But as they keep moving in the western direction, they might cross the players of LG and the players of Ghost as well, spotting them out mid-rotation. But Team Ghost right now, they might be in the center of all of this chaos as it is about to.
Hard. You have to put in everything. Out for a very long time right now. Axom gets the first knock for himself, and now he's going to move in for the finish. There is no cover whatsoever, and Vulcan, I don't think he's going to get resurrected very soon.
Yeah, for sure. He's not getting up. He's not being.
documentary out of this. Even mind, this whole game could have just been a documentary if they would have bagged that chicken dinner once again, just falling short in the final hurdle, but still managing to rack up a mammoth total for themselves, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, and I also want to say this, that this sort of performance from what One Blade and Blind have done, this is what we expect these two teams to play like. I mean, I don't know what happened in the previous game. They did have those finish numbers, but I would still call them blunders because they did watch up a couple of fights for themselves. In this one, though, Blind, again, just steamrolling the competition, felt extremely comfortable with every single fight that was thrown at them. And also, this was not really Blind Esports' game, because we know their best performance, when you will see, is the fact when they are going to be playing with the help of the zone, with the control of the zone, having proper cover and everything, right? And even though they are an aggressive team, that is what the team excels at. Their rotations are on point. Their zone predictions are actually, well, pretty accurate. Not really having a 100% success rate, but quite close to, I would say, a 75 or an 80%. But still, in this game, they were constantly put under the pressures. The zone kept moving away from them again and again and again. And Blind dealt with that situation. They played a perfect edge-to-edge rotation game and were able to secure a lot of eliminations while doing that as well. And I mean, I completely agree.
It's like Blind just went in bonkers, and I'm pretty sure that One Blade just showing their space, just show.
Were also considered young upcomers. So I think, again, especially One Blade, I'm extremely happy seeing them be this consistent even after a long break of theirs. And it is quite a jollyful situation. But for our team, Furious Esports on the third,
give you a little bit of upper edge against some of the best teams out there.
Especially as we have been talking about the zones just being extremely weird on. Sorry, game careful about it, so try and avoid it. That is what I'm trying to say. Paradise Resort clashes that we talked about, those are going to happen. And as of now, I see Blind heading towards that bootcamp position along with the squad of Galactic Gamers, and they have one more team heading in the similar direction. I hope there's no early bootcamp clash, and
I want some early clashes. About. And that's where you can sort of spread yourself out, get a lot of meds, go for the med strat. I feel like whenever a Sandhawk game is going to be out there, and if I am playing a professional game, that's what I would do. I'll just be the one collect.
One teams, I mean, this is the last game of round 1, week 1.
I'm not wrong, or maybe that one player separated out from the pack before
climbing the hill. Knuckle, the MVP from the previous game. The only man inside of this buggy, not giving a ride to his teammates as well. Is that a good thing, Necro?
Yeah. I mean,
Knuckle just takes the buggy, goes. His teammates do follow up eventually, and now the entirety of Blind Esports is here.
oh my God. They've got no clue that there are crocodiles over here. There's some alligators just lying around in these houses, and they're looking to munch some players away at Blind Esports. They might just walk into a set trap. Love and Gunjack, these two players in their own designated houses. Love inside a little shack. As soon as he decides to walk into that shack, problem's gonna start to brew up, and that's what happens. Love peeks out once again, but gets taken down because of the pre-fire. Gunjack is well inside the house, but he's taking a bit too much damage. Both the players from TSD, they're softened up way too low. A really good flashbang, though.
Yeah, really good stun coming in front of Mane. He was blinded for a few seconds. TSD, there is no reset for Team Furious Esports. And it is going to be quite difficult for Gunjack to actually escape as well. He has his teammates in the backlines, but that is not going to change anything, as Gunjack is going to be knocked out with a nade from Mane as well. No Bhishma in the backlines. As the M4 and the DBS to work with, but with his teammates getting taken out, he can't really do much. And look at what Mane is trying to do. He's cutting off the escape options for the other remaining players of no recoil. They don't want to let any survivors leave.
Oh my God,
no
wait,
survivors,
didn't
no
see him.
prisoners.
Did he see him or
Thank
not?
God.
That's what I want to find out. Yeah, I think so. He saw him, but Mane still gets knocked out. I think he's also going to get finished. Probably no. He's still alive. He gets finished up. What's going on? Max Star, 2 players taken down all by himself, but he gets taken down by the third one. Joker to save the day. Not so Joker anymore. He's sort of now done the cosplay of the Batman. He's saving the Gotham City.
Yeah, he definitely is the reason his teammates, he only loses one teammate over there. But Blind Esports, I don't think they're going to be happy with just that as well themselves, and they are looking forward to wiping out the players from Beast. It is not going to be an easy sight as Max is a little too far away for them to finish off the entire team, but they can finish off the third player, pick up those 3 points and move and play the rest of the game from here on out.
Arceus Esports, Neo will go for the res on the fallen player. Should be quite easy. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Look at the replay, how it really just started to break down. In this first trip, he spotted him out, but then when he tried to do the same thing, he got caught by the DBS. 2 players were taken down by Maxstar, but unfortunately the DBS from the Joker as well sort of strike him down. So yeah, no extra value there, but a really good effort from Maxstar, that's for sure. We've got Arceus Esports on our screens, and currently if you do take a look at the team board or the status of the game, we have seen 3 teams get completely eliminated. From those 2 teams are handicapped.
And I think Beast Hunter, they are not going to survive in this game for long, considering they just have 1 last player remaining. Team Fatality. Brilliant performance delivered on the map of Erangel. Miramar not really going their way. This time on Sanok, the goal seems simple. Secure as many points as possible to qualify inside of the top 8, and with that goal in mind, with that objective in mind, we see PK going for an aggressive push on the players of 4 crew. Dope stepping out into the open, wants to go for the duel with the DBS, but takes a lot of damage in return from the UMP, although he resists getting knocked out in an awkward spot like that for the players of Fatality to finish him off. He backs off to safety. The first aid has been popped. Fatality 2 players low, Hulk and PK being dropped down to around 50 HP. Nade looks beautiful, Dope.
Dope. Still just bouncing around the cover. He doesn't know exactly where to look, what to do. He knows Fatality is quite in the clotheslines and he's getting approached by the entire team, but where is the cover fire? Where is the cavalry? That's what we're here to find out. Good Molotov. The floor's going to be lava now. For Fatality to walk around or cross on over on the other side of the house is of course going to be a tough challenge, a tough ask. But the DBS in the close range always reigns supreme. But even there's a shotgun from the front line. Hanzo's going to strike him down. 4 crew official. DS in the back lines. The cover fire is going to be a little too late. And now it's all down to DS, and even he's getting shot at. Last player known, and 4 crew should be eliminated soon enough.
The plan of action was laid out quite beautifully by the players of 4 crew official, while Dope was just going to go towards that left-hand edge of the shack and try and draw the players from the other side into the suppressing fire that DS was providing. But the execution, it just fell completely apart, and now 4 crew official will have to just rely on that last surviving player and try to survive because of him. DS, he is using the opportunity that the third party did come in from the players of 1 blade to an advantage to secure a few extra points. But as we move to the other side of the map, we have Team Legendary. They are being gate kept in by the team right in front of them, and that is the squad of Arceus, not letting them get inside the safe zone, just keeping them in the blue.
Blue zone's going to dish out a lot of damage. LGD moving around. Player 5 the back, player 2 and player 4. Player 1 is missing from that fight. Arceus, though, still, as he knows that the team in the front still out from the blue, he's going to try to hold him right there, because the damage is going to get chipped away, slowly and steadily, whatsoever. The wall of death is definitely going to be engulfing them soon enough. It's going to start to close in as well as the time keeps them passing by. Even the team in the front, they need a move inside the circle. So Arceus is not safe themselves in this spot. So you can't say LGD, as long as they've got decent amount of meds, they can keep patching themselves up and just wait for Arceus to push up.
For sure. I mean, sometimes it is just about waiting out the tough spot. And LGD, I think they are getting a little too overeager to escape the blue. This player 2 has been knocked out. Player 5 from the backlines trying to provide some form of suppressing fire to the rest of his team. But it's not really working out for them. As R says, they're keeping them pinned down, keeping them in the blue, letting the players of LGD take a lot of damage. And LGD, they realize they can't really break their way inside the safe zone from there. They're going to have to reposition. And look at this one blade. This team, they don't let anyone disappear. Still looking to finish off the players of Fatality as PK is just hiding behind that rock. And Jadu is looking for the opposition, sees the pixel. The shots are fired. They connect as well. HP dropped down to around 20.
Yeah, not a lot of HP on that player. Fatality in a massive world of trouble. They've got an entire firing squad of one blade onto themselves. Not a spot they wanted to be in. One blade in the front lines. That means PK is going to be trapped here for a while. Hopefully he's got a decent amount of meds. He's also starting to creep and crawl up. Now he has been the one with the nature, Johnny. But that nade's going to spot him out anyways. Perfectly tossed in. PK knocked out. The confirmation should be flowing up soon.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to see the confirmations come in extremely soon. PK has been picked up by the players of One Blade, finally. And we're down to 12 teams, 39 players. Beast Hunter Fatality, 2 teams surviving with just individual players left. And look at this, how it all began. Fatality going up against the players of 4 crews first. And then the players of One Blade just overpowering what was left of Team Fatality over there. An open center, open zone just north of Query. It's going to make for a very exciting end game with Galactic Gamers smack in the center. Raw Official just a little bit north towards Bahan INT, towards the northwestern side of the position of Galactic Gamers. So they are surrounded, but they have the only cover available over here.
Galactic Gamers, they've got this entire compound secured in their hands. Another team in front of us, this team managed to secure the first ever chip, still in the safe zone. Look at the status of the game so far, Johnny. So many teams are handicapped. You can say 4 teams so far handicapped. Beast Hunter existence inside the game so far, but in this Sanhok game, they fall short a bit.
They have fallen short, but moving forward, let's see. Blind Esports is going to be up to as ESCN is moving in their direction. And Blind Esports right now, just lay in wait. Knuckle turning himself into a snake, cooking up the nade. Prepared for the assault of ESCN. This is going to be lobbed a little early, just as a precaution. And it does kind of connect to Storm. A little bit of chip damage on the opposition. Knuckle moving up a little bit, trying to land the nade on the other side of the rock. This one even closer. Now down to 50 HP. Storm backs off.
Oh, Fatality, Viper, honor screens. Man's looting up. At this point, he's one of those players that is just looting up the scraps that's left over in the back.
Yeah.
And if we pull off a heal battle as well. These amount of meds are only enough for him to make it till inside the circle, but then too, it's not going to be enough to sustain a lot of firepower, or at least those firefights that are going to be on his way soon enough. Beast, the last player alive from this squad, Beast Hunter Max, is also getting chipped up a lot of damage. He's only got 1 first aid left over, Johnny. Now the only thing that can save this man is God himself.
Yeah. Or maybe, if God is going to provide him with a few first aid inside those boot camp positions, then maybe he can survive for a few extra moments. But I think we're going to see Beast Hunters vanish from this game in the next few seconds. Team Fatality might follow up in a little while, because even Fatality is going to try to go looking for first aids. 11 are not enough, but maybe if you have around 15, 16 first aids, you can survive and break into the top 4 one way or the other. On the other side, though, no coordination. Omen in the crosshairs of Radiator from the side of INT Curious. Spray not really connecting, and INT, they're going to have to reset themselves as their position now has been compromised. And Blue Zone is going to close in. We're going to have the next shift, the circle, and this one is going to be a little bit on the northern side as well, leaving the southern teams just out in the open to scramble for position.
Oh, look at Blind. They're actually approaching a compound too. Look at the map. So they're going to find themselves in a really good spot. Behind them is right ESCN. So that can't be a possible threat approaching for them, but INT for them, they're in a really comfortable spot. They can win the spot they found themselves in. Raw official. Teams are definitely in the front. Our teams are going to be around you. Hopefully you're not going to get completely tunnel visioned on one of those teams, because that mistakes do tend to happen from the big names as well sometimes. Ronico, the cover fire is going to be on the point. Player 4 alive so far, going for the resurrection on the fallen player, but now is getting pushed up by the entire squad of Raw.
Yeah, and Raw do get that squad wipe in a very comfortable manner as well. Quite a brilliant move from Ronak and Paritosh. Ronak just drawing all the attention and driving the opposition to the line of fire for his teammates to pick up that last individual. Now Raw official, having 2 finish points already secured, are looking for a few more, as Omen from the side of no coordination has been spotted out, and even though he's a little too far away for Superman to realistically be able to finish him off quite easily, Superman still goes for the shots, and well, Omen has taken a little bit of damage. So Raw officials, they will make this happen one way or the other. They want to go for this finish.
Indeed too. Oh, look at Omen. He's getting spotted and shot at. Denzel knocked out of the game, and soon enough is also going to get spammed out, so not a good news for Omen. He's done. That's no coordination right there. And you can't tell by the name as well. Omen being separated out so far away from the team is almost unretrievable, unrevivable. And you can see Raw as well, so desperate to get that point secured in their hands. And this stalemate situation, Galactic Gamers, they have been in this compound since the start of the game, Johnny. And now too, they are situated right there. They do not need to move out at all. One player lost out, 2 players short now. Canary and Jadu knocked out. Now it's all down to Ghosty in the front lines. Ghosty needs to back out, but does he have enough smoke grenades to provide him a path?
And it's not just the team in the front that one lane have to worry about. They have to worry about the players from Raw in the back line as well. Canary, can his point be picked up by Abhi? Needs to go for the spray right now, but from the flank he is also getting shot at, and he's going to be forced to run behind his buggy to protect himself, but that is not going to work, as even Fox, they are here to secure their points, and Abhi from the side of Raw is going to be knocked out. Ronak is not far away from his teammates, so he's going to try and go for a revive after lobbing a smoke out in the open, but Abhi is going to get picked up by the players of one lane, as I believe it was Rockstar who's managed to secure that finish point for his team, but neither one lane nor Raw are in a safe haven right now. Both of these teams are in a position from where it will be extremely easy for anyone inside the edge of the circle to actually gatekeep them. And look at Fox. World of Bird, Fragger, he's gonna start shooting, and he takes the easiest player down. What? Fox being a 4-man roster have been reduced to their last player surviving. And are they gonna survive for long? That is a very difficult question to answer, since Fox, they are gonna be just gripping at anything that is in front of them to try and survive. The revives are gonna happen, but they will delay their rotation inside the circle.
Galactic Gamers is one of the most luckiest teams inside the lobby so far. All they've done is sit on the same spot, but rain down death and destruction on the teams that are above them. Now even Blind Esports need to move in. Manya was lost out for early in the game, but still, this 3-man squad has enough potential to conquer this map. Let's see if that's going to be possible or not. Blind Esports, they already know they've qualified. They've got nothing to lose, so they can't start marching on forward inside the circle. Even if they get taken out, it's completely fine. INT, on the other hand, though, still just taking shots around them. Even this team is doing quite comfortable, looking quite comfortable in the overall standings.
Blind, they are just playing for the bonus points at this point, but INT looking to qualify, looking to secure a position with the top 8, have in fact managed to secure a few points from the side of Raw Official, as Cyan did get picked up, but Raw Official, one more player was left standing in the corner of the building. In the meanwhile, Galactic Gamers against Light Esports to find the opening they were looking for. Knuckle is going to be forced back into the blue. His teammate Joker knocked out in front of him. Ronnie has pushed forward, but he's pinned down as well. Joker trying to crawl to safety, trying to get out of the blue. It's going to be exposed, it's going to be picked up. Ronnie being put under a lot of pressure. Knuckle exposed as well. Oh, he tried to make a run for it, but it was a massive pale and blind. They're down to the last player with Ronnie hiding behind a rock. This nade can be a brilliant one, but will it? The answer for now is no, as with the DBS, he finds...
Oh my God, runs!
Can he get the third one? And
Ronnie runs!
what has he done? The incredible one before! Goes for the squad wipe all alone.
He wipes out the entire existence of Galactic Gamers, Ronnie! A beast amongst humans, a monster in the makings! And Blind Esports, they absolutely knock out Galactic Gamers off this lobby and prove that they're looking to conquer this map of Sandhawk. Arceus now against the players of INT. They've got their sights locked in the front. INT down to a two-man squad.
This game is just proving to be more brutal than anyone could have expected. Arceus still looking to finish off the players of INT. Cyan has been pointed out. Rogers on the other flank, but Cyan stepping out into the open. This could have been a massive mistake, but he is desperate to find a position inside of the zone that will not be given to him. Cyan has been knocked out. All the burden of the team and the points that they need lies on the shoulders of Rajput. He's been given 5 first aids to work with. Has no smokes, 1 Molotov and 6 nades. Not really the utility you hope to have in the final stage of the game, but that's not even going to matter, as from the flank, Rockstar from one plate does arrive, get that point for his team, and dips out the very next second.
There we go. A team that is going for the men's strength, that is Raw Officials, and the team that is currently inside the circle have pretty much won the game. Arceus is going to be the victorious one in the map of Sandhawk, but still this group as well. Today's day in Chip. general, Johnny, has been one of the most entertaining days so far. Action-packed day for sure.
Well, it has been an action-packed and an exciting day for sure, as you said. And I mean, we got to witness a few insane moments. I mean, talk about the.
तो हो गया गाइस, आज के लिए बस इतना ही। वीडियो अच्छी लगी है तो लाइक करिए, शेयर करिए, कमेंट करिए। और मुझे थोड़ा ज़्यादा कम हो गई है, कम का दिखा रहा हूँ मैं। 1 घंटा 52 मिनट हो गए हैं। तो बस आज के लिए इतना ही। खुदा हाफिज़, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। क्योंकि मेरे को अर्जेंट थोड़ा काम आ गया, मेरे को जाना पड़ेगा, इसलिए बस आज के लिए इतना ही। खुदा हाफिज़। बहुत